Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to what is going to be an unofficial cast here of the EU Spring Challenger Series. Lowland Lions going up against Origen in Week 5, Day 1 here. I'm Spuddington, going to be joined today by Metas. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, dude. It's been a while since we've been on the Rift casting together, but as you can see right off the get-go, both teams happy to ban out Maokai, Lissandra, Cassiopeia, and Ari, so plenty of interesting bans. Zed as well, lots of mid bans there coming out.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising to me. Obviously, at the moment, Lissandra is like a flex pick, and Lowland Lions really don't like to play it because it doesn't fit their style, what they tend to go for here. They don't have these bruiser split pushes in the top lane. And Lissandra's actually quite good against those. That's probably why they're banning that out rather than like the mid. But Cosq, one of his few strengths is that he actually has quite a wide champion pool.
They're definitely seeming to focus on towards him quite a bit. We do have some picks though. Nidalee first pick in, and then for Origen it's going to be both Lulu and Kog'Maw. So that's a pretty amazing champion to see. Kog'Maw, were you expecting him to go AD carry? I mean, he's not unheard of to go in mid, but I would assume it's going to be AD.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable option here. It's pretty much building towards the Juggernaut. Like, they're trying to get this Kog'Maw to be so tanky you can't possibly deal with him and speed him around in the fight, so he becomes almost like your front line and your back line all at once. I'm not sure if that'll work out, because normally when you try and build a Juggernaut composition, you don't want to signal it too early or your opponents will start stealing away your champions. This time though, Lowland Lions, they haven't done that. They've taken Thresh and Corki, and the bot lane was already, well, could be a top lane Lulu or mid lane, but they're certainly not taking away the critical champions to this style of comp here.
Yeah, and Lulu, as you say, it's kind of a flex pick. You're not entirely sure where she's going to be occupying. Well, also as has picked her up, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's definitely going to be at the top lane. That being said, though, Corki and Thresh locked in for the bot lane for Lowland Lions. And of course, if you do land those hooks, there's a lot of follow-up damage that will be landing on Kog'Maw. So it would make sense to pick a support like Janna that can shield, can push away with Howling Gale, and of course Monsoon later on, and reposition the fight in Kog'Maw's favour.
Yeah, so speaking of repositioning, this is probably going to be a Gragas jungle here from Origen. This is definitely, okay, there's no two way, this is Juggernaut composition. They're desperately taking like all these disengages, all these different tools to try and keep people away, and considering the number of mid lane bans, a Xerath pick here makes a lot of sense, because of course Xerath can actually aid it if you are looking to go for some kind of dive attempt onto a Kog'Maw, onto the back line there. Then Xerath can pop his ultimate, fire that out, and get the extra damage down. Now, I mean, we have actually seen Morsu play Fiora before, but I'm expecting him to go with Aurelia here. It's definitely his comfort pick outside of the Jax, which is also open, but they are going to go with the Aurelia.
Yeah, and Aurelia is one of those champions as well that can be a real pain in the backside for AD carries to deal with, especially one without a natural escape like Kog'Maw. But it's important to mention as well, Spud, that this is Niels. He's got 14.5 KDA ratio. He is the top KDA man in the EU Challenger Series right now. And on Kog'Maw, you expect him to do pretty insane things.
I mean, he has to as well, that's the other thing. Origen is putting a lot of trust into Niels here. If he performs, then they will perform. If he fails, they will fail. That is as simple as it gets. Now, looking for the probably mid lane pick here. They're going to want at least one more damage threat. If the thing that Origen could do here, you'd think maybe if they were going like all in on this Juggernaut style, is go for Morgana and then run Morgana top, which Soaz has been playing a lot of. I wouldn't fancy that this time though, because they'd really lack for damage if Kog'Maw wasn't doing well. So Twisted Fate. I haven't seen that in a long time, actually.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one as they're going to switch over. I'll be very surprised if Mithney ends up running with Twisted Fate and fairly sure that'll be switched over. There we go. It does make sense in some respects, I suppose. You know, we were talking before we went live there that Lowland Lions do like this split approach. Twisted Fate allows Peke to get himself into position to stop potential split pushes going out of control, and they also have picked themselves up a teleport, so they've got a lot of map maneuverability and getting into positions that look a bit dire and a bit predictable. for the other team to take down towers. So I can kind of see where they're going with this. I'm just very concerned as to Peke dealing with Xerath. Do you feel that's a bad matchup?
It's Twisted Fate doesn't have a lot of good matchups nowadays. He tends to be very vulnerable to ganks is his biggest weakness, and you can see double defensive summoners to try and keep himself alive. I think in this situation, though, it's probably going to suit them here, actually, because the Xerath pick is only really good at landing his stun if you're going aggressive onto him. If Twisted Fate is just looking to push the wave out and then look to roam down, roam up, look for those ganks rather than trying to kill his lane opponent directly, then it's going to give him a lot more presence. But I'm going to reveal some of the magic of how this is working. We are, in fact, using a synchronizing website for the YouTube, so I'm going to skip through some of the break via the magic of not video
You're never
editing
supposed
at
to
all.
show how a trick's performed, Spud.
Oh, yeah.
You're a disgrace to magicians everywhere.
I have ruined literally everything. But regardless, this is Lowland Lions versus Origen. We are just about to get underway. And one thing I do want to mention about Lowland Lions level 1s here, notice the distinct propensity to stack in one brush. We've seen it a couple of times from them. They put 4 or 5 members in a single bush and hope that their opponents will invade nearby.
To Summoner's Rift.
Oh, we're just going to have to wait and find out if that's going to get them caught off here. Also, mentioning about Twisted Fate, I guess it's one of those kind of characters as well, Spud. You did kind of touch on this with the roaming potential of a TF that can cog more rolling. If they can pull off these ganks, if they can get Peke down there in close contention with Amazing. This is looking bad. It's looking dire for Morsu. He's been caught out, gets stunned. He's going to have to flash away. And that's a pretty huge summoner burnt for, I would say, no reason at all. He was just totally out of position.
It was very clever there by Origen in a way, though, because that's a position that Morsu has taken up many times now. We've seen him. Not entirely sure what X-Pek is going for here. There really is no kill potential now they know he's there, but he's just kind of playing the spear dodging minigame. But the thing, okay, so it was quite clever of Origen to see that Morsu goes to that brush quite often, and what we actually saw was Soaz went down below, and the rest of the team circled around in the lane brush above, so he was actually pincered, and saw forced to burn the flash there, so nice. You can tell Origen have kind of done the research there. That's not something you'd try otherwise.
And that's a huge part of these games as well. It's not just in-game performance, it's research, it's scouting out opponents. And remember, these two are the top 2 in the league right now. Although Origen are 9-1, Lowland Lions 6-4 in second place. So, it would do Origen very well to scout out every potential threat, every nook and cranny of the opposition. But my question to you is there, Spud, what was Morsu going to gain from that position? Like, why was he there in the first place?
The thing it does enable him is to see if anyone's coming out of the tri-brush, and that can be quite valuable. If the standard invade in towards blue is coming in from Origen in that situation, the Morsu can see it, he can back off, he can react, and he can give his team a bit more time to react. So, yeah, there is some value to it, but yeah, obviously, if it's becoming predictable, then you might need to start sitting much further back, much more towards the blue entrance.
Right, so all-important information then is what he was looking for. Unfortunately, it did cost him a flash, which is going to keep him certainly on the back foot, especially as Amazing is more than likely going to target top as a potential kill. The binding, well, it's not a binding, is it? That's not Morgana, that's Thresh. Completely different champion. The hook, not quite landing. The flay, however, will. And Misty is going to have to back on off. A play that we've seen a lot in the past, but I remember casting him back in Heimerdinger's Colossi days when he was playing bot with Freeze, and it's great to see that he's still playing at that top level.
He's been around for a while.
Well, mentioning which, he's just been called out from the death sentence, not quite able to live up to his name just yet. He has to flash. In fact, it doesn't matter. The kill will be coming down for Thresh, looking for the second as well. Niels gets one back in return before falling surely to mid-lane. And the passive will not be enough to get a revenge kill. So, just after building Mithy up, he gets knocked down.
An unfortunate event there for him. He was playing really aggressive there on Janna, so they must have known that was a possibility. And I do have to question why. As we saw, Kyrie was not far off, comes in at the end there, and they didn't actually have that particularly well warded against her. So Really aggressive play from Origen. Punished actually by Hybrid in the end, but could have easily been punished anyway, so they probably shouldn't have been doing it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head-scratching moment, and we were talking before about how important it is for Cosmo. Hold that thought for a second, because Kyrie is in mid, Kosuke misses with the stun. And Midley actually moved up, but here comes Hybrid as well. It's the double rotate from both teams, and again Midley's going to get dropped. Peke wants the return kill, but it's a 3 versus 1. That's not going to happen, especially if he's got poked from that javelin. He has to back on away.
Yeah, this is starting to look scary. Kirei, yeah, that name just deeply confuses me. Amazing going in. Double flash.
Yeah, double flash, and again Kyrie going in. Hybrid with the flay. This should be yet another kill, and already Origen finally 4-1 down, soon to become 5-1, and Nidalee already at 4-0. What a start. Not even 5 minutes on the board. This is a very, very fed Nidalee.
And how is Amazing going to be able to do anything in this game now? You have to be so careful of a Nidalee who's 0-0-0. As it is now, 4-0-0, she's just going to be able to walk into your jungle and kill you if she finds you. That is a huge threat to have to deal with. I know Gragas is very resilient, but that is a big, big problem. Plus, you've got the double summoners burned in the mid lane. That was just utter disaster for Origen.
Oh man, Nidalee recoil and getting some all-important items as well. As you say, if you get caught by Nidalee at this stage, it's pretty much lights out, barring a miracle, or at the very least, but you're going to have to burn summoners to survive. You cannot go one-on-one with her right now.
Full Magus enchant on that jungle item. Rangers Trailblaze picked up by both sides, which makes a decent bit of sense. Neither of them is going to get particularly large amounts of value out of the alternative jungle items. But, yeah. Now, I guess now really it does come down to Kirei though, to try and capitalize on how scary she is with that Nidalee there. I've got to wonder, is that going to be translated? Because Origen, definitely the favourites in this game. Morsu though.
They certainly are, but it's been anything but that so far. The one-way traffic. Kirei again lands another javelin. 5-0 at 6.5 minutes through the game.
That's yes, that is quite a fed. This is the kind of stuff that you get people surrendering in solo queue at like 6 minutes. They'll be like, GG, it's a 5-0 Nidalee. There's nothing we can do, but can't do that in this scenario. There is no re-queue option for Challenger Series games, so you're gonna have to play this one out. Now they still have decent farm in most of their lanes, and you know, for all that Soaz there did just die, he's still only a short way behind Morsu, but they can't let this keep going or it's going to get real bad real fast.
Yeah, it certainly is, and of course with their kind of composition as well, they need to allow Kog'Maw enough time to build up and get to that scary stage in the later games, but if Nidalee locks things down beforehand, Peke just about dodging with the recall for Kosuke. But if they don't allow Kog'Maw to get to the later stages, then their composition's never really going to take off. That's the other danger right now for Origen.
That is a big, big problem with those kinds of Kog'Maw compositions, and I think Kirei is also soloing Dragon right now, I believe.
It's one of the downsides about watching it this way. We can't switch ourselves.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he spent a long time in that Dragon pit.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. Dragon has been slain, and yeah, that's a nice way of translating the advantage. Obviously, Origen was quite scared and didn't want to be moving into the river. They've been pushed up in bot lane for a long, long time, so they couldn't go to get out there to get that warded. He takes advantage. 5-0 and a Dragon. Of course, the first Dragon is more valuable later on into the game as your AP and AD starts to scale up. But still, nice to get yourself started on that train.
Yeah, for sure. And if you've got a free objective, you may as well go ahead and take it. Trying to use that advantage that we were talking about before, being 5-0 up, may as well put that to good use. I'm so jelly, by the way, Visibility's skin here, the Toboggan Run Corki. I so badly want that skin. I'm so sad.
You're a long-time Corki player, so I can understand that. But
it hurts me right in the feels.
I don't think it looks that good, though, is the issue.
What? Well, Soaz doesn't look good for him either. He does have the wild growth. Look at this damage from Kirei. And they get the kill once again. This is unbelievable. And Soaz, even though the wild growth was popped, the shield, everything in the kitchen sink, it didn't matter.
Yeah, And that's the danger as well with an Aurelion there. Because for all we're talking about Kyrie right now, typically lowland lines, their carry has been Morsu. Morsu has been playing the split pusher, playing for map pressure, and he gets to be a really strong duelist. Now, with Nidalee to back him up, no one can dare to even try to 1v1 him for fear of getting 2v1, in which case they will lose. And that is a really, really scary combo now. That gives them so many options to pressure Origen away from objectives. And they are going to have to do a lot. Because, of course, remember, at this point, you mentioned before, Origen is 9-1. At this point in time, I haven't actually seen the games themselves. They are 8-0. So this may be the first game they ever lose.
It's like a 50-50 now, isn't it? They may lose it, they may not. But look at it from right now, I would say the chances are they do lose this. But you never quite know. They are phenomenally strong players, and they can definitely pull this one back. You know, speaking of that, it's a nice segue into what I was about to ask you anyway. We're talking a lot about the negatives, about how huge Kiri's getting, how huge all our lines are getting. Are there any saving graces? Are there any silver linings here for Origen? Hold that thought for a second. I'll get back onto that point. Iron's been caught. Maybe this is one of them. If they can get some free kills on the board. There's a lot of damage in return, though. Here's Twisted Fate going in. Xpeke lands the gold card onto Facility, but he's got no backup whatsoever. And they are very cautious of that Nidalee burst damage, and therefore will be backing on away. I feel like this is the end of the fight right now. At least it should be.
Yeah, I think that is correct there. And that is one of their saving graces right there. Origen can always commit more players. If Kyrie goes aggressive and tries to create a gank and gets double teamed, so Amazing comes in from the side and Twisted Fate comes in then with the teleport, then it becomes really, really difficult to deal with. But still, that's a long cooldown. It hasn't killed Kyrie. They haven't shut down the rolling train. Amazing... he wants to try. He's kind of hanging around at least, but seems like for now he's just trying to make sure Niels is secure and safe.
There's a lot of action though. 9 kills in 11 minutes equates to a lot of explosions, a lot of fireworks, and these kind of compositions as well. I'm expecting more of the same going forward. Corki is doing okay, I guess. Should actually be behind in this lane, considering that Kog'Maw has 2 kills, even though he's about 10 CS behind. But now in mid lane, Peke manages to dodge that spear. He's going to be locking in the gold card any second now. But with the fact that he has those Merc Treads already finished off, has a lot of movement speed, very difficult to lock down.
Yeah, a lot of focus on MR there. I wonder why, but that's always been one of the advantages if you were against a magic damage jungler and a magic damage lane.
Ooh, forcing the flash from Kozq, just went walking in the wrong bush at the wrong time. Amazing caught him out there, and maybe that's going to be a saving grace in mid. They have the flash down, and that should enable Peke to be a bit freer in mid, to not worry quite as much.
It is always going to be a bit awkward, though, getting onto Xerath. If he wants to just play defensive, it's fairly simple to do. He's Xerath. He's got a million range whenever he wants.
Ooh, trade at bot lane there, actually. Facility well and truly coming out second best. He could go down to the minions. No, just about survives, about 20 hit points. But he actually initiated that confrontation, and it completely backfired.
A weird one there, but has been left on low health. Kyrie was kind of optimistic, and Mithy is going to block that spear out, block the potential gank. Although Kyrie's actually still there in the brush.
Yeah, still here, still looking for kills, and will indeed get one. Monsoon used too late, pushes Kyrie back towards his own tower, but it's not going to... Oh my god, that person again, I was not expecting that. Double kill, 8-0 Nidalee. That is a very fed cat on the board right now.
This is an 8-0 Nidalee, and that is... Wait, what is... Where is Kozq?
Well, that just happened. I doubt he's going to die. Or maybe he
No.
will actually. He's trying to turn this all back around again. And he's going to end up dying. It's a flash in the end from Peke, who very nearly falls himself. But it's like Kozq was just eyeing up the tower, just taking pictures of it. And what the hell was that?
I have no idea. That was just bizarre. Why would you push up that far? Although, Xpeke!
Oh my god. The flash javelin plays.
I don't know. Can we see, has anyone got 10 or no? Can we see 10 and 0 Nidalee? The stuff of nightmares. She's 100-0ing people right now.
Yeah, pretty much. And not looking like she's going to slow down anytime soon. I guess the one good news, though, or one bit of good news from Origen is that most of those kills are on Nidalee. There's only one on Thresh. The rest of the team doesn't have any. Morsu now, look at this damage that he's putting down onto Soaz. Gets the one-on-one kill. Soaz doesn't even have time to pop his ultimate there. And now Lowland Lions jumping on top of this two-pronged attack, getting the dragon as well. So just as I was saying, you know, it's mainly on Nidalee. Well, Morsu just goes massive at top, and they get another dragon.
Yeah, ultimate and flash still available on Soaz as well. So, yeah, not the best performance there. This is rapidly getting out of control. This is 4k gold, this is 2 dragons, and it's not even 15 minutes yet. That is crazy gap between the two teams. I would say there's one thing here for Origen that's kind of nice that Kiri's almost giving them in a way, is that this build she's going for is very late game focused. It looks like a Rod of Ages and a Tear of the Goddess, so tons and tons of mana for the late game will make her quite a lot stronger in that late game, but that's not really where Nidalee's strengths lie anyway. You generally want to be snowballing that early game and applying as much pressure as possible, so I'm actually not sure about that Rod of Ages choices. She can get away with it because, of course, she is incredibly fed, the Nidalee here, but I'm not sure I'm actually a fan of that.
We'll just have to see how that translates and transitions into the later stage of this one. And something we were talking about before we went live as well, Spud. In fact, I'm holding that thought just for a moment, because we do have 6 players at bot, make that soon to be 7. As the teleport comes in, the ultimate from Peke does catch onto Nidalee. They desperately want this shutdown, and it's Kog'Maw that gets it. Teleport in retaliation has been cancelled out actually there. I believe that was Wild Growth to cancel it off. Facility now on the firing line. He's going to get knocked up from Howling Gale. This is a huge turn of events in Origen's favour. Hybrid's very low. He has to flash. There's the re-engage from Amazing. Gets stuck underneath the tower. He should be falling. Yes, he will get taken out. But it's still a great trade for Origen. A 3-for-1 and potentially a tower as well.
Plus they got the shutdown on the Nidalee. So good to finally get that 500 gold in your pocket. And yeah, really very much actually saved by Soaz there. That could have gone very, very bad if Aurelia suddenly shows up behind you. But nicely done in general. It did cost them this top tower, it seems, as Morsu is really building up ahead of steam. And if you look at the farm difference, gotta really note that is a fed Aurelia. And remember, Lowland Lions, they live and they die on how well Morsu is doing and on how much split push pressure he can apply. Right now, sky's the limit.
Oh yeah, we've seen in the past what this guy's capable of, and look at him just chunking through. That burst damage is disgusting, and gets another kill. And there has to be alarm bells ringing right now for Origen at top lane. They have to be able to stop this Irelia, or otherwise things are going to get bad very, very quickly.
Yeah, and right now the thing is they can't even anti-split push her. There's nobody. I mean, Soaz is not necessarily their strongest duelist on the team now because he's just died so many times, but he's not exactly easy to be killed straight up one-on-one, but Morsu is able to do it easily, so they have to try and like force fight elsewhere on the map. And yeah, they've got the Twisted Fate to do that with. Yeah, they have got that potential team fight win if they can keep Kog'Maw alive, but it's they're always going to be racing against the clock unless they can somehow get the 2 versus 1 against Morsu, and then they're opening themselves up to split push here. Facility going to take this bot tower.
This is kind of what you were saying before Lowland Lions are known for, the split pushing and trying to force down towers. Morsu's been put out of position right now. Transcendent Base trying to get some health back. He is going very low, but he should be okay. However, with being forced back, that top tower should be picked up. Elsewhere on the map, Lowland Lions are a bit skeptical about their chance of picking up this tower. Meanwhile, Xpeke goes into mid, misses with the Q though. And that could prove to be costly. Q flashing will just about save him. The wildcards didn't connect from Xpeke. Could have been a very different story if they had.
Yeah, the cleanse came in from Q, which threw him off. He was aiming where Q would have been if he was still stunned. Okay, they're gonna maybe still get this.
Yeah, Mithy with a nice monsoon. That's gonna knock Q, obviously just used his flash beforehand, back into Peke's firing line. And that's going to be another kill. So it went from being about a 6,000 gold differential to now about 3,000 or 3.5. Origin, they're moving in the right direction.
They are getting those fights in their favor. The only problem there for them, though, is they committed so many resources to getting close to a mid, and it did cost them an inner tower on the bottom lane at the same time. So Lowland Lions definitely still taking a lot of advantages, and they've got the vision control if they want to try and set up picks in that bottom lane. I don't really see them doing that, though. Sieging the inhib tower directly this early into the game would be a bit risky, so Lowland Lions now really need to be starting to set up that pressure top tower, and probably looking to make a dragon play when that spawns.
The thing though for Origin, and we highlighted this in the Champions Select, that Kog'Maw Niels is going to be such a huge part of this composition and for them winning this game. He's 4-2-1, he has a Triforce, has a BF Sword as well. In terms of items, he's not doing too shabby for himself, so he could definitely, in team fights, if the likes of Gragas, if Diana can manage to keep him alive, and of course on top of that Lulu, Niels could be free to just go absolutely huge and cause havoc and mayhem. So definitely one to watch out for going through into the next 5-10 minutes of this game.
Yeah, Lowland Lions should be abusing how strong Morsu is right now, and if they can't burst out Niels, then they should be just trying to split push. But right now, they aren't doing that. Morsu does not have TP, so that's part of the problem here. And they are going to look to try and chase somebody down. He has to be very careful to avoid that javelin, but they're going to start up the dragon here, and that's going to force Soaz TP. Can they keep Niels alive?
Well, they've caught on amazing. If they can burst him, it definitely gives them a much better opportunity. That's exactly what's going to happen. The box was popped down from Thresh. You can see that Kog'Maw super low as well. He has to back on off. Morsi taking point. He's trying to burst players. He's also fairly tanky at this stage of the game as well, so they definitely have to respect him. Wildcards goes through, only lands on Sakiri, and they get the dragon, which will be the third of the game for Lowland Lions, and they back on away with a kill and a dragon. Huge for them.
Yeah, very nice there, and a good hook from Hybrid to set them up. He's normally, honestly, in my opinion, not been that impressive as of a support, but his Thresh this game has been actually really quite on point, so Lowland Lions firing on all cylinders. Origen have to be quite scared now for their future. That was a team fight. That was the scenario where their comp is stronger.
You can see there that Peke's damage is just tickling Morsu. He's not giving up the chase. In fact, he's going to force the ultimate from Tiev. Peke not taking any chances with that one. And the other terrifying thing as well is when Nidalee heals Morsu, he's going to get even more attack speed. He's going to be able to put out that damage thicker and faster while being sustained for that much longer.
Normally when you only have your Aurelia as a front line, really, you can start to struggle as the game goes on, because Aurelia tends to need to build more damage in order to be a big threat. But if she does that, then she tends not to be very tanky. But she's ahead right now, so she's got bonus base stats, and she's got that heal, as you say. So that's also probably partly why Kira's gone for that Rod of Ages build I mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's making her him. It's a him playing it. It's a her the character, but much tankier on the Nidalee. It's a very scary proposition right now to fight. And we also saw the advantage of the Xerath ultimate there in the last fight, taking out Niels when he had managed to back away with still about a third of his health.
Yeah, just forcing him out of the fight, wasn't able to really do a great deal, so it's all good. All well and good having a lot of displacement, having a lot of ways of keeping that Kog'Maw alive, but if you got the long-range snipe coming in from Xerath, you have to respect that. Meanwhile, Irelia just went back and picked himself up. Morsu just picked himself up a Maw of Malmortius, which is certainly going to be very useful for him going forward in this game. Is that an item that you agree with? I just heard you kind of a bit perplexed there.
Yeah, the problem with Maw of Malmortius is basically that it's just not a great item. Like, stat efficiency wise, the passive for the AD it's not gonna really be a great item. It's not one of these items like Frozen Heart where it's 140% efficient before you even count in the attack speed reduction. It's not some insanely efficient item, so I'm not sure about finishing the Maw straight up rather than just going for the Hex Drinker and leaving it as that.
Okay, interesting. Maybe it's just a case of it's giving more damage, and obviously the Hex Drinker I would definitely agree with because they're against effectively 3 AP champions in the form of Gragas does quite a bit of AP, Lulu of course does, and then on top of that Xpeke. But interesting choice, yeah, as you say. Did go for the attack speed as well with the dagger. What would you expect to see that building into now that he's already got the Triforce?
Yeah,
Zephyr maybe?
Yeah, maybe. But again, that's also something I'm not sure I would agree with. But holding it, Origen's going in.
Oh, Mithy's been caught as well. Such a squishy champion.
Oh!
The re-engage from Kiri will get them the kill. Very ballsy play though. And it's a support
Oh, Facility!
from Italy. And Facility's very low. Going in now, I should say, very low on Soaz, who has to flash away just to keep himself alive. That's a 1-for-1 trade. And as I say, it's a support for Italy. However, they have forced back 2 players who are very low. And that's going to keep Peke and Amazing here to try and fend off the onslaught.
Yeah, they do have good wave clear between the two of them. That is actually, wow, not going to be that useful in this situation because wave clear is not going to stop Irelia killing you. That is one niche that Gragas fills that very few other junglers do at the moment, which is that he is actually very good at ranged wave clear, so you can fit him into your compositions for that purpose. Now, Lowland Lions, their wave clear, they've got wave clear for days, and like as I mentioned before, they always build their team comps towards this split push. So they've got that Corki and that Xerath. The AD carry and the mid both have very good wave clear to set them up. But in this case, it's not only giving them wave clear, it's also giving them siege potential. It's not normally the way they play, and the way they executed it wasn't flawless there, as we saw. Kire kind of got over-eager, but even so, it's so difficult right now for Origen to force the fights that they need.
Oh, even through the shield there, the Either Storm, Kog'Maw still gets popped down from the long-range barrage of Xerath. And something I wanted to draw the attention to as well is at top lane, Peke was not expecting that level of burst. He died while still having his Zhonya's off cooldown, and that effectively cost them pretty dearly. And now the push in effect from Lowland Lions, they're looking for this inhib tower, and they should be able to pick it up as well.
Yeah, there's no way they can stop that. There's no way they can stop the inhib. Lowland Lions are crushing down here, and there just doesn't seem to be much Origen can do. They must know, though, that if they just sit back on their heels and let Lowland Lions push them around, there's no hope for them. They're going to have to start forcing fights. One thing that we can still say for Origen here, they have actually been trying mostly to do that, and they've also kept some vision, so they have that potential to try and still set up a play. They must know Dragon is coming up in 40 seconds. It is going to be hard times for them to survive if that's the case. Poke is pretty significant.
Yeah, even an Amazing who's pretty tanky right now. You can see that about a quarter, a third of his health just got disintegrated by the one spear and the one ability from Kozq. And something that I was going to mention before and got sidetracked, we've got 10 seconds up on Dragon here, is we were talking before about how OG coming into this game were pretty comfortable. You know, they're kind of guaranteed that playoff position, and you're concerned if they might get complacent. Do you think that's the reason why they're so far behind right now, or have Lowland Lions just been that damn good?
Well, to my mind, it's a bit strange, because if you think about the way Gamers 2 played against Lowland Lions, so as getting his dancing shoes on, and to be fair here, I don't really see Origen contesting this Dragon. I know it's going to be the 4th, which is a big deal, but I just don't know how they fight that.
Yeah, they went down so fast as well.
Yeah, so Gamers 2 basically wrote the playbook here for beating Lowland Lions. What they did was they basically said, right, we're going to ban Irelia and Fizz, which is the main 2 picks that Morsu really likes that can scale up relatively early, and then we're going to pick Jax ourselves, so it's impossible to deal with.
Oh, Amazing does throw out the explosive cast, but just delays inevitable for about a second. He falls, and now the sights are firmly set on Baron for Lowland Lions White. And again, it's one of those situations where you don't fancy OG to even attempt to steal this one, and Niels gets 1v1 from Kozq. Here comes the ultimate from Xpeke. They surely will get the kill here on Kozq. He very nearly gets himself another one, and he's still alive somehow. There we go, last auto attack, but in the meanwhile, Baron was picked up for Lowland Lions, and now they're on the chase.
Yeah, Super Baron minions, and Mithy with the tornado isn't even going to be able to save his own life. That was actually a really nice tornado, but it just shows how strong Morsu is and how fast he's moving right now. It may be that Zephyr in the end, because he is just going at clappers. He's 436.
Yeah, he is setting his targets on. I want to do a lot of damage, and I want to burst that Niels as soon as possible. Anyone that tries to 1v1 me is going to learn the hard way that it's not possible right now. And, you know, we were putting a lot of praise on Kiri, who did do a great job from jungle, but Morsu, for me, has started to stand out in these last 5-10 minutes. He's really stepped it up.
It's largely been Kiri's role in these games. It's an uncommon event to see Kiri be the one getting really, really fed here. He's normally played this slightly more supportive style in the early game. I think he just got that 4-0 at the start and then was just like, well, I may as well run with it and do as many, you know, get to be this huge threat myself. So, yeah, normally much more defensive, supportive style, but still, he's always been a very solid jungler, very much in the right place at the right time.
And strangely enough as well, you know, normally Corki's one of those kind of game-changing AD carries, can definitely put a lot of damage down, can definitely turn the tides of battle, but Visibility's been by and large invisible in this game. There's been no need for him to step up really, because the rest of his team have just been doing such a phenomenal job. He's 0-2-6, hasn't really gave that much in team fights because Morsu and Kiri have just been popping people. And on top of that as well, Kozku has been landing some huge ultimates. Like, he's been forcing back Niels in those fights we mentioned before.
Yeah, it's a big, big problem for them right now that Lowland Lions, they're going to start the siege. The Baron minions are there. It's going to take a little while. The wave clear is still really, really strong from Origen, but that tower, although I can't see the health bar, is probably going quite low here.
I wouldn't be too surprised, especially as it's being fired on from that Baron up, Baron fueled minion has just been taken down courtesy Amazing. So there you go. As you can see, below half of its HP left, and Amazing, who is tanky, the tankier member on their side, finds himself very close to death, and now the emphasis will be put on that tower. Nice damage down onto Lowland Lions that may buy up this tower a few more seconds of life. But that's all it's going to be. It has fallen now. Second inhib tower falls. Will the second inhibitor itself fall? It's looking likely.
Yeah, the Nidalee heals keeping Lowland siege going forever, and that inhib is respawning at the worst time. It looks like that's just going to be a second one going down. With 10k gold between the two teams, it's 4 dragons. This is looking desperate now for Origen. Definitely looking like the 50-50 is probably pointing this way at the moment.
The sad life of an inhib. Respawn, die 2 seconds later. They were waiting for that pounce on top of it. And now, there you go, Swan Campers, Scumbags, Lowland Lions. They picked up another tower, and now they've got their eyes set on the 9th tower. And on the flip side, Origen, all they can really do right now is lay in wait. At some point, though, they're going to have to go for that last hurrah. You know, they're going to have to go for that last engage to try and pick this one back. If you lose all your inhibs, that's pretty much game, set, and match.
Yeah, and for all this kind of this misery here that they are suffering through, Niels is actually still in a positive KDA, which is just short of a miracle at this point, considering. And they, you know, with Janna, they still have damage.
Oh, going all in on Kiri there. They only land the ultimate on him, but that could be enough. There's the box as well. It tries to lock them down. Expect it going in, and he's going to use the zombies to try and get that stun off. However, he's not going to have enough backup, and he falls down. Hybrid's trying his best to escape from this position. Flash in from Mythic, narrowly missing out on the Howling Gale. Here comes Amazing to take number 2. However, Visibility is high on HP, and so is Morsu, in the sense that he can just jump back in and do loads of damage. Niels is going to try his best to keep his team alive, but he's being chased down by Visibility, who overextends and nearly pays for his life. This is such a scrappy fight, and Morsu comes in. He's like a piranha, just taking a nibble here and there, and it's a 3-on-1 trade somehow in Lowland Lions' favour.
Yeah, you could see how desperate Origen were to force a fight that they could win, but with that, they're going to lose the 3rd inhib. There's nothing they can do about it. This is looking very much over at this point, but it was really, really close there. There was one Kog'Maw ultimate that went a little bit astray that could have led to a kill onto, I think it was Morsu, that would have been very, very important. So Origen coming very, very close to trying to tip the scales, but 10 seconds until the dragon comes up. They can't let that go, but at the same time, they've got double super minion waves pushing into their base, and their Nexus towers are already low.
Uh-oh. Peke.
Oh, God.
Peke. That spear missed. If that connects, he's probably dead. And now, Kiri has to turn around and run, because Peke's starting to do quite a bit of damage. Here comes the cavalry. Amazing showing up as well. Here comes the ultimate as well. And Kiri will be falling down surely, and that's a pretty important pickup. 45-second death timer on Kiri, just as Dragon spawns. Sad times.
That is maybe going to let Origen contest it. They're still on this incredibly bad timer, though. Remember, those minion waves are starting to push in towards their base. So Origen, they're going to force this. They've started up the dragon.
They have, but it's going to be Origen that pick it up. However, Spectre has to stay at spawn, and that's going to leave them a player behind right now. Morsu's going to take so much damage, though, and Niels is still alive with the wild growth. This is not too bad at all for Origen. I just wonder if they left it too little too late. This may just be a drop in the ocean, because they have to go back and defend. They can't do anything off the back of that victory in the team fight. They do, however, stop Lowland Lions from getting the all-important 5th stack on the dragon.
Yeah, they're trying to make the plays that they can, and it's basically a case of don't think of what you can't do, think of what you can do. They're doing whatever they can do, but the problem is they've used up all that sort of time allowance. They have to clear these waves, and in 20 seconds the Baron will spawn. I don't see any way Origen can get there to contest it. I don't see any way that they can hold their base with one Nexus tower, with no inhibs, with Lowland Lions barreling down on them with a Baron buff. That is just an unreasonable ask. No team could do that.
Especially when they're putting so many eggs in the Niels basket as well. And at some point, he's going to have to reposition when those minions come roaring down the tracks. It is going to be a Baron, of course, for Lowland Lions. Easy peasy for them. And now they're going to turn their attention seemingly on towards mid and just try and barrel through. This is last chance saloon for Origen. If they make one mistake, this game is pretty much done.
There is one play they can make, and it is to force a team fight and to win that team fight so damn fast that Lowland Lions can't do anything. The inhibs are going to respawn soon, and that is going to be the critical point. If Lowland Lions even just kills the inhibs again, Origen lose. So they have to. They must force a fight right now, and it doesn't matter how they do it, it's still their best chance. Even if it's a bad engage, they must keep at least one alive, and they're just letting them go.
And they're getting poked constantly as well. Amazing's taking all his poke damage. He throws an explosive cast, but it's not going to do anything. There's a Monsoon as well. Amazing gets caught. Wild Growth used on top of him. They do a lot of damage on Coscu, but they do pick up the tower as well. And now the inhibitor will be falling down. Nexus is completely bare. And they've lost a player in the form of Amazing. Yes, they get Nibbly in return, but Expeke on the front lines will feel the force of Morsu, who's 8-1-4. Make that 9-1-4, and he wants the double digits, and so as very nearly falls down. But the Nexus will be dropping, and Origen lose their first game in the EU Challenger Series.
Really, really close stuff. Really, and it was a game of margins. There was, from the point where Kire got so far ahead, it was always like, it always looked like it could tilt back the other way, and it was so close to doing so several times for Origen, but it just never quite happened, and they were able to snowball that forward. Morsu really picking up the ball and running with it as well as the game went on, and all Vizility and Coscu really needed to do was just be there as a vague sort of, I'm here, I'm a threat, I'm going to hit the tower now, etc, etc, all they needed to do. And I have to criticize Origen. I mentioned at the very start of the game they seem to have done their research, but I also mentioned that Gamers 2 wrote the playbook on how to beat Lowland Lions by just picking a top laner that outscales whatever Morsu picks. And Origen didn't seem to want to deal with it. It was like Lowland Lions, they're a team they're a one-note team. They're a violinist with one string, right? And what Gamers 2 did was they cut the string before the game started. So there was no way they could win in like the fiddle contest. Origen just pulled out their own golden fiddle and started to play it, but then they actually got a bum note, and the one note has come out on top here as a result. I'm still not, well, okay, it's the 50-50. We know that Origen wins the second game already. Sorry, spoilers. But it does seem like, in this case, maybe their overconfidence got a little bit the better of them.
Oh, it definitely seems that way, of course, as we mentioned, and we'll see you guys next time.